Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're joined here by Cart Bear Pig, and check this out. Something truly amazing is happening. Did you catch that? Let's do it again. This is the joys of the Whetfish Fin Plus. If you don't know about this item, this is a must-have item in every hunter's inventory for so many different reasons. For what it is, for the amount of skills it reduces in your build, for the DPS that it brings to any hunt. So if you don't know about this item, grab a drink, grab a snack, and listen to me ramble about the Whetfish Fin Plus. Alright, the basics of the Whetfish Fin Plus. The first thing you want to know about this item is it has a 10% usage rate. So we have 5 in our inventory. Every time you use the item, there's only a 10% chance that it's actually going to be used. So theoretically with 5, a good RNG, you get 45 uses and 5 times it's used up. But even in those 5 times, you still get your sharpen, you know? So the point is, 5 of these is going to last you a long time. In fact, it could be a week or two, really, because you're only going to need this 1 to 3 times a fight, and most of those times it's actually never going to be used. So you're going to go into the next fight barely ever seeing that reduced. The next thing you want to know about this is it reduces your sharpening speed down to 1 cycle. You know, you typically have 3 cycles of sharpening to sharpen your weapon. Speed sharpening works at max by eliminating it down to 1 cycle, and that's exactly what this item does. This is speed sharpening 3 in an item, and it's one of the reasons it's so fantastic and OP. And that's not all. Just the fact that it barely gets used, and the fact that it's 3 levels of skill in an item that you never have to put into your build again. If you have it in your build and you're past Master Rank 2, you should remove it immediately and have this item and farm this item and always have it in your inventory. And really that's about the basics, but now I want to discuss how this is going to work with other skills like Protective Polish, Items Prolonger, a few other things, how it's going to reduce the reliance of handicraft a lot of your builds are going to need, and that's going to be the next aspect of what makes this so powerful. So just keep in mind the speed of this is going to be incredibly important in causing some tremendous DPS when you combine this with other skills. And here we go. Alright, so why does this man keep saying OP and overpowered for an item? Is he just trying to get my views? Is this clickbait? Well, yes it is, but I'm not lying to you. It really is, and I'll explain to you why. You have certain builds, like this Dual Blades Ice build that's good for Alatreon, this Agilaria's Edge, Longsword build that's good for Alatreon, and this should actually be a Teroth Ice, and I have my Teroth, I just haven't farmed the augments to make it, but with Teroth for sure. But these are where you're going to get your highest Ice Elemental DPS checks to make Alatreon a very easy and bullyable fight for you. And they're going to rely a lot on 2 specific skills that the Whetfish Fin Plus is going to merge with perfectly to make these skills even a viable strategy, to the point of you have to have a Whetfish Fin to make these skills the viable strategy in these builds. First one is right here, Protective Polish. What does that do? Protective Polish does, what it does is once you sharpen, you have 60 seconds of time that your weapon will not lose any bit of sharpness whatsoever. This is amazing, especially when you have purple sharpness weapons that don't have a lot of purple sharpness, basically. And that skill is going to combine with this skill, Items Prolonger 3, which you can get from a hard enduring jewel in Master Rank fairly easily. I believe it's a rarity 10 deco, and that completely maxes out your Items Prolonger skill. And at level 3, the effects of all your items are going to last 50% longer, so your Protective Polish isn't 60 seconds, it's 90 seconds. Guys, that's a minute and a half of time in the beginning of a fight. You go ahead and sharpen, let's say before you jump down to Alatreon, you got a minute and a half, you're not going to lose 1 speck of sharpness, and this is so vital for DPS, so awesome for DPS, because what happens at the beginning of the fight? The first thing you do is you jump down there, you do the wall bangs, you do the softens. The softens are, the clutch claw attacks eat so much sharpness, they're a heavily sharp gauge in consuming attacks, probably the highest. And then you have your Frostcraft gear, not for this build, for Agilaria's Edge, your Frostcraft gear that eats up sharpness even more. So you're gonna have a minute and a half, which is a huge chunk of time during the fight to not lose sharpness, but all those attacks early in the fight that cause you to lose so much sharpness early are gone. None of it's an issue. You fight through your fight, then your Protective Polish wears off, you got to start fighting some more, and then at some point you need to sharpen again. And the beautiful thing about this is, with Protective Polish still on, this one time in that fight you're going to need to sharpen again, because you have a Whetfish Fin.
Plus, it's going to be a super quick sharpen. So against Alatreon, you can do it anytime he's flying, anytime he does an attack that has even a moderate recovery window. You know, you could be focused on your Palico or another teammate for half a second, and you can go ahead and get that sharpened off, and then you have a minute and a half plus the duration of the fight to not need to sharpen again. And that's what makes it so powerful. It lets you keep your DPS incredibly high in this build. Also, in this build, you have Handicraft 3. If you didn't have Items Prolonger, if you didn't have a Protective Polish, a Handicraft 3 would be nowhere enough Handicraft for this build. It's an ISS style build. You're going to need to get your Softens. It's Frostcraft. You're going to lose a lot of sharpness. Handicraft 5 would be much better, but Protective Polish with Items Prolonger with the Whetfish Fin Plus is even more than Handicraft 5. More purple sharpness that you'll have throughout the fight than even Handicraft 5. So we've discussed what it did with speed sharpening. We've discussed that it barely gets used. And now it's hyping up the power of Item Prolonger, it's hyping up the power of Protective Polish when you use it together, and it's allowing you to require less handicraft. And this is all in a freaking item that you have in your inventory. I don't know about you, but to me, that's OP as fudge. Anyways, same thing with this DB Ice build for Alatreon. This is a Kiar weapon. It doesn't need any handicraft whatsoever. It's got max white handicraft, but if you don't mitigate this this sharpness, you're going to be in blue sharpness before you know it, and your fight's going to go terrible. What do? Same skills, Protective Polish, Items Prolonger. You sharpen in the beginning of the fight. You use your minute and a half of time. You're going to start losing some sharpness later in the fight. You find a safe point to resharpen. You got enough sharpness for the rest of the fight. You never have to touch blue. You never have to touch white when you have a purple weapon. You never have to touch blue when you have a white weapon. That's what I got to say. That's why this is OP. Mic drop. On to the next subject. Let's go.
So this is my little test here. I just wanted to see how long it would take, how many sharpens I would get with 5 Whetfish Fins. And as this goes along, I just want to make a couple points. This is a prime example of, in the game, there's a lot of times that you can use items in your inventory and replace items in your build. For example, another one is bringing Dash Juice with you all the time, so you can use less Marathon Runner, less Constitution, sometimes even avoid putting those in the build in the first place, you know. This is just a prime example of that. There's a few other things that you can do, and I will make some other further guides about that. I just want to point out that the RNG on this is kind of interesting. It started off, the first one I think I got 6 sharpens before it got used. The second one was like 2 or 3, and then the third one was about 10, and then the fourth one was just 1. It got used up on the first sharpen, but number 1 here was a champ. This is the god of RNGs. I ended up getting 55 sharpens, 35 off the last one. As we discussed earlier, you should get about 45 theoretically, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can be less, but it can also be significantly more. This one gave me 35 sharpens at the end, and now it's all used up.
Alright, you heard me talk enough, and you're like, alright already, I want this thing, let me get it. Alright, so I'm going to show you exactly how to farm it. The farm is super quick, guys. It's a minute, maybe less. I mean, once you get into the rhythm of it, it's like 45 seconds to run, and you're done. But you do want to have a build with a few things so you can help get as many as possible out of this run. One of the things you want to do is run a 3-piece Karen and 2-piece guild setup. I like the way it's set up right now. You don't have to have this exact setup, guys. There's going to be a few things that you definitely want, and I'll go over that, but the reason you want 3-piece and 2 pieces, each of those comes with a specific skill. Where is it? There we go. Karen's Divinity at level 3, that's what you need the 3 pieces. It's a high chance to increase your quest rewards. It's called Great Luck. And then the Guild Palace one on 2 pieces give you a good chance of increased quest rewards. That's Good Luck. The reason we want that is you're going to always get 2 Whetfish Fins from capturing these 2 fish, and that's 2 that you're going to get on every run. But depending on how many you get in the rewards, it can be anywhere from 1. I think the most I've ever heard of someone getting into the rewards was like 5. But if you get like 2 and then any in the extra rewards, it's going to be good. And both of those skills don't work together. You can't have Great Luck and Good Luck proc at the same time, but it's just a better chance of one or the other procking at the end of each mission, and you're going to be doing them quickly over and over again, so it's a good thing to go ahead and have in your build. Also in this build, some skills that you definitely want. You want your Gilly Mantle. You need this for sure to make this a very fast farm. Most of these decos I use are just primarily there because this is a gathering set for me. It's not specifically for this quest, but anytime I need to gather anything, I just have some stuff that earplugs for, miasma maxed out, warming, cooling jewels, so that the terrains are never a problem whenever I'm gathering. Hard intimidator if you want to stick that in there. Hard geology for collecting stuff. But really, it's the set bonus that I'm looking for and the ghillie mantle that's important. I also have the assassin's hood. I know a lot of people don't have that. It's just going to let me do this run a little bit faster. And the only other thing I want to talk about before we go into actually showing how this run is done, and it's really easy, is food skills. There is a food skill called Lucky Cat. It's just not worth. The only way to guarantee you get it is a gourmet voucher or voucher. It's not worth it. You know, the amount of times you're going to be going back and forth and doing this quest to stop and to eat, and then have to use a gourmet voucher or voucher to make sure you get the skill. It's just not worth it, and I haven't really noticed it making a significant difference in any kind of extra reward you get at the end. So that's why I just use the build the way it is. Anyways, let's go on to showing the actual run.
And this is your quest, a fish to whet your appetite. It's an event quest that's available at Master Rank 2, right after Shara or the next quest, just depending on how you level. You start off at Camp 1 and you hang a left, and there's a pond out here that you're going to capture fish with your capture net. This is where you want the ghillie mantle. You stick it on. Sometimes there's a bambaro over here, so you don't want them to see you. But you're going to stick them on so the fish doesn't see you, and then you can just walk right up to them, capture net them. Check their backs. If the two fish you need to catch have their backs slightly out of the water and it makes this whitish colored hue, that's how you know which one to get. After you catch this one, you go to Camp 6. I forgot to mention in the build video or portion, you need to have the charm that gives you Master Fisherman. It's easily craftable. It makes this easy. Same thing, the back is out of the water. When you're fishing, you'll get these prompts. Just mash circle when it says to, then it says mash left or right, then you just mash that direction, and then mash circle. You don't want to just press it once. Mash whatever prompt it gives you, and if you have Master Fisherman, after about 3 of those, you catch your fish. Once you get used to doing this run, you're going to wrap it up in about 45 seconds. So it's pretty quick, and you're going to get some pretty interesting rewards. You're going to get these Whetfish Fin tickets, which are worth 100 melding points for your mega demon drugs and other things you might need to meld. And on this run, I got 3 additional Whetfin fish pluses, so the total of 5. You can only hold 5, so make sure after each quest you go into your tent and go into another items setup, so you can make sure you never have your Whetfish fins in your inventory when you do the quest. You just don't want to get them and not being able to actually hold on to them because you're full, you know. This is another reason why you want the ghillie mantle. This bambaro is there. It started me off in that area where you get the armor spheres, and I had to come back down to get it, but this allows me not to be seen by the fish or other monsters to make the first one super easy. But also, if you miss with the rod, it's really good to have the ghillie mantle, because if the fishing is a failure and you're not wearing the ghillie mantle, the fish is going to swim off and despawn, and he won't respawn on the map for like 10 minutes. So at that point, you just quit out the quest because there's no point in doing it again. But with the ghillie mantle, you can basically, as long as it's active, it doesn't count as an attack, it doesn't wear out. You can have as many attempts as you need for the fishing. Just try to land the lure right next to his face and bob it a couple times, and you'll get it. And one last thing, when you're done and complete the quest, make sure you hit the R3 stick to choose the option where you return back to camp. That way you can go back to camp, load up the next mission. It's a much shorter load screen, so you can do this over and over and over again. Just go to camp. On top of every other reason we gave to why this item's so great, it's really clutch in key situations. Like anytime I'm at this gate in Fatalis, I want to sharpen and buff before that gate comes down so I can try my jump helm splitter. So I always use the Whetfish Fin first. Sometimes I'm the guy holding the switch for latent power, and you need to use a Whetfish Fin so you can be ready for the maneuver when that gate drops. So this is just one situation. There's plenty of other situations that are less flashy and actually more practical. That one sharpen is going to be so much easier to deal with than having to find time for a 3-cycle sharpen, you know. And really, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for your time. Please be excellent to one another, and if you liked and enjoyed everything, please leave a like, comment, and a subscription.